This week has been huge for the hydrogen industry. Airbus is taking another major step toward hydrogen-powered aviation. India is preparing to launch its first hydrogen passenger train. And a €1 billion e-methane deal could help solve one of hydrogen's biggest commercial challenges. Let's break down the 7 biggest hydrogen stories you need to know. Let's start with aviation. Airbus and German engine manufacturer MTU Aero Engines have announced plans to create a joint venture focused on hydrogen fuel cell propulsion. Unlike conventional jet engines, this system would use liquid hydrogen. The hydrogen would power fuel cells, which would generate electricity for electric motors. According to Airbus, the new company would develop the complete propulsion system. That includes the fuel cell system, electric motors, power electronics, and the liquid hydrogen supply system. This is significant because Airbus is not simply funding another research project. The goal is to create a company that can develop, certify, and eventually commercialize hydrogen electric aircraft propulsion. However, there is an important detail. The agreement is currently non-binding. There's still no timeline for a commercial passenger aircraft, and major technical and certification challenges remain. Still, the announcement shows that 2 of Europe's leading aerospace companies continue to see hydrogen as part of aviation's long-term future. While Europe is looking toward hydrogen-powered aircraft, India is preparing something much closer to reality. The country is getting ready to launch its first domestically developed hydrogen-powered passenger train. The official launch is expected on July 17th. The pilot route will connect the cities of Jind and Sonipat in northern India. The train consists of 10 passenger coaches and is powered by a 1.2 megawatt hydrogen fuel cell system. Instead of diesel engines, hydrogen fuel cells generate electricity to drive electric motors. The project also includes a dedicated hydrogen refueling station. According to Indian Railways, the facility is equipped with hydrogen storage, compressors, leak detection systems, and fire safety technology. This is more than just a concept. The train and its supporting infrastructure have already been built. However, it is important to keep expectations realistic. For now, this is a pilot project. Questions about operating costs, hydrogen production, and future fleet expansion still remain unanswered. Even so, the project represents another important step toward hydrogen-powered rail transportation in one of the world's largest railway networks. From transportation, let's move to one of the biggest commercial hydrogen stories of the week. Finnish developer Nordic Rengas has signed a binding e-methane offtake agreement worth €1 billion. The agreement was signed with Avanca Energy and its subsidiaries. Unlike many hydrogen announcements, this is not just another memorandum of understanding. It is a binding commercial agreement. The planned facility in Tampere is expected to produce around 11,500 tons of renewable e-methane every year. The fuel will be produced using green hydrogen and biogenic carbon dioxide. One of the most interesting aspects is how the fuel will be delivered to customers. Instead of building an entirely new distribution network, the project will use existing LNG infrastructure. Alternoil, one of the partners involved, already operates more than 55 LNG filling stations, with over 120 fueling points. This could significantly reduce one of the biggest barriers to market adoption. However, there are still important questions. The production plant has not yet entered operation. The final investment decision, project financing, and long-term economics still need to be confirmed. Nevertheless, securing a binding customer agreement is an important milestone, because without customers, even the best hydrogen project will never become a successful business. Now, let's take a quick look at 4 more hydrogen stories from this week. First, ITM Power has received final approval for a £46.5 million government grant. Together with a £40 million investment from Great British Energy, the funding package reaches £86.5 million. The money will support an automated production line for ITM Power's next-generation PEM electrolyzer platform, with a planned capacity of 1 gigawatt per year. However, manufacturing capacity alone does not guarantee customer demand. Next, construction has started on a new 12.5 megawatt electrolyzer facility in Austria. Developed by RAG Austria and Andritz, the expansion will increase the site's total capacity to 15 megawatts. It is expected to produce more than 1,500 tons of green hydrogen annually. Part of the hydrogen will be stored underground during summer and used again in winter, combining production with seasonal energy storage. A new study has also challenged the idea that surplus renewable electricity automatically produces cheap hydrogen. Researchers examining northeastern Brazil found that dedicated renewable energy projects could reduce hydrogen costs by 15 to 30%. The reason is that very cheap electricity may not compensate for an electrolyzer operating only a limited number of hours. Finally, many European countries are still behind schedule in implementing renewable hydrogen targets. More than 1 year after the deadline, fewer than half of the EU member states had fully introduced the relevant rules into national law. Without clear national regulations, companies still face uncertainty when planning hydrogen projects, investments, and long-term supply agreements. Those were the 7 biggest hydrogen stories of the week. Which of these developments do you think will have the biggest impact on the hydrogen industry? Let me know in the comments. And subscribe for a clear and fact-based hydrogen news update every week. Thanks for watching.